What's the matter, boy? Hasn't my girl put you on a horse? Speak up, boy. If you can straddle a chamber pot, you can sit a horse. What you say? Damn it, has Maud got herself a deaf mute? Here, up you come before me. We'll take a jaunt. Come on! Please yourself, then, if that's the hang of it. Sit around. Jolly coho.
Mark, you've arrived.
I'm sorry, old chap. Should have been here. I'm your cousin. The second cousin, that is, Robert York.
Good afternoon, sir.
A wretched tailor kept me, don't you know? You had no difficulty getting here from Paddington?
No, sir. The guard put me in a cab.
A beastly cab. Hang it all, I sent my turnout for you.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Well, never mind. Well, so you're here, what? Well.
Is my mother here, sir?
Or rather, she'll be here in a tick, and we shall have some tea. You like cream buns, I dare say.
Is this her house, sir?
Mine. What do you think of it?
It's very large.
I suppose it is, yes. It'd be dashed empty without your mother around. You know how she...
No, sir.
No. Thoughtless of me, that. Looking at the family portrait gallery, were you? Do you know who this is?
No, sir. But I think...
It is your grandfather, Mark Penmarric.
Does he live here too, sir?
By George, no. Couldn't stand town, let alone me. Anyway, the old boy's dead, years ago now. There's a bit of him, about you. I don't suppose you remember him. No. You weren't more than 4.
Your mother sent you up, did she? Damn her presumption. Ah, that's it. Took a fall this morning. Over the mare's head, over a dry stone wall. Snip, snap, broke my leg like a twig. It's nothing to that, of course. But then she followed me over the wall, fell across me. She's likely to kill me, they say. Damned if I don't believe them. Can't blame the stubborn beast, though. Might have thought twice about the jump myself if you hadn't made me angry. It'd have killed you, boy, if you'd been up before me. No. Wouldn't have set the animal at it, then. I never took risks with your Uncle Arthur when he was your age, and I had him up before. Sit around frightens you, does he? Yeah. You shouldn't let the wily devil know it. The trick is to make him afraid of you. Over 200 million of the black scoundrels in the subcontinent, and all of them frightened of 30,000 British soldiers. Come to that, those ruffians would terrify Lucifer himself. They can swear handsomely now.
Can't remember his name.
Whose name?
Had a servant in funny clothes. Grandfather, I mean, sir.
By George, you do remember, and you're right, of course. A darky the old boy brought back from India.
How are you, Mark?
Very well, thank you, Mum.
You look disgustingly healthy. You're a little short, of course, and undeniably plain. But you have spirit, I hope. I need a son with spirit.
I was just telling the boy. He's something like...
Father, perhaps. About the mouth, perhaps. Maybe take tea. Your father told you nothing about the inheritance, I presume?
No, Mom.
Nothing about the wretched legal battle I've been fighting for 6 years?
No, Mom.
Don't address me as if I were the Queen or you a boot boy. You call me Mamma. You can do that, I suppose.
Yes, Ma. Yes, Mamma.
Since he told you nothing, I'm surprised he sent you.
Your letter did pitch it a bit strong, Maud, my dear. Going on about justice and honour, don't you know?
Lawrence doesn't understand what the words mean, unless one's talking about the 100 Years' War. He must have told you about Penmarric.
No, Mamma.
Of course he did. Are you being perversely stupid? Does nobody speak of me at Gwycellis?
Well, Nanny says I've got your temper.
I'm glad to hear it. Makes you more of a Penmarric like me, less of a Castallack like your father. Robert, wouldn't you say he resembles the portrait? The Baker portrait, I mean. In the drawing room at Penmarric.
Looks quite the gentleman, doesn't he? Cocky upstart, my father, just the same. But a cunning devil at the card table. And no faster man at the ribbons of a four-in-hand, he outraced the Prince Regent himself. Won Penmarric estate on the wager. Ah, damn fool burst the lungs of two horses doing it, though. He had to pistol them at the door of the Brighton Pavilion. Do you know, boy? Do you know? It took the Almighty only 5 days to create the world. He spent the 6th day making the horse. Come down to the stables with me. I'll show you why.
I suppose I could take it to the House of Lords if necessary.
A long way to that yet, my dear.
But I can if I must.
Of course you can, but then so could he, don't you know?
I saw the painting,
Has no one taught you not to interrupt?
but he showed it to me. And his horse. That day, he broke his back.
Well, I'm dashed. Wasn't his back, old chap? Not as bad as that. Even so,
Robert,
bad enough.
you see, Lawrence has talked to the boy about Penmarric. Now, do you think I was wrong to send for him?
So long as you don't confuse the lad, my dear.
He's old enough to understand his inheritance, and that honour and justice must be served.
I doubt it.
Don't be tedious, Robert. Of course they must.
I meant I doubt that he is old enough.
Mark, do you understand what is meant by honour and justice?
I think so, Mamma. But Pa says...
This has nothing to do with your father's romantic notions. You'll understand that when I take you down to Cornwall tomorrow.
Back to Gwycellis?
No, good gracious, no.
Pa said I was to come for a visit. That's all.
So you have. Don't be a tiresome child. I'll send you back to him when you've seen the inheritance.
Sen and Garth. There were 2 mines once on the Penmarric estate, but King Wallow's been closed many years.
Is that inheritance?
Part of it is more, much more.
It's going to be ours. Why can't I go down the mine? If it's ours.
Such places are for the labouring classes, as your father taught you, love. This is the parish of St. Just. Over there is Morvar and Zennor beyond. They were all part of the Penmarric estate in my grandfather's early days. Stop! Stop here, man. He was the worst kind of gambler. He enjoyed losing as much as winning. Everything would have gone if my father hadn't brought a fortune back from India. Mind your business, my man. Get down. Help me out. You too, child. Look. That's it. That's Penmarric. Our inheritance. I want it. I shall have it. If not for myself, then at least for you.
What the devil are you doing, Maud? that your son? Are you Castallack's boy?
Yes, sir.
Nigel, is it?
Nigel's my brother, sir. I'm Mark.
And what are you doing here?
I've come to see our inheritance.
Have you indeed? In 6 years, you haven't been able to find a court that'll take Penmarric away from me. You're wasting your money.
I'll spend every penny I have and borrow more until it's mine. May the boy see the inside of the house.
Your mother's a fool.
No, sir, she's not.
Or worse. You'll see. Get up!
Who is he, Mamma?
A cousin. He calls himself Giles Penmarric, but he's a baker.
A baker? I say, Mamma, that's jolly rum.
Don't be obtuse. Surely your father told you. Grandfather's name was Baker before he changed it to Penmarric. Help me into the carriage.
Ma'am, do you remember me, ma'am?
No, why should I?
Oh, no reason, I reckon. I was one of those that brought your brother's body up from a cove, the night he drowned.
I don't remember you. Take us back to Penzance.
Be quiet! Damn you! Thank you. But go home now. There's nothing you can do. It went well, I suppose.
I was asked why you weren't there.
Damn their impudence.
I told them you were ill.
And damn yours, too.
He was your son. People have a right to expect...
My grief's my own affair.
What do you wish me to do now?
Get out and leave me alone.
Father, I'll keep the house for you if you wish.
What the devil are you talking about, girl?
I'm your only child now.
I have a fever coming.
Tell me what I'm to do.
Find yourself a husband. Better still, I will. A fancy gentleman who'll sink his pride for an upstart's dowry.
We're not
Don't be a
upstarts.
fool. That bookworm, Castallack. Is a good family, what do you say?
No. And you can't buy him.
Ha! Damned if I'd have to, the way he moons over you.
I intend to stay at Penmarric, unmarried if necessary.
You'll do as you're told or you'll get nothing from me.
I've expected nothing until now.
No's no change.
It is! Arthur's dead!
Oh, God. God.
Do I inherit Penmarric, Father? Do I?
Sitaram! Listen. Listen to me, girl. Unless you marry within a year, young Castallack or someone like him, you'll not get a penny from my estate.
I'll marry if that's what you want. But I want Penmarric.
You must go to a man, not a woman. Not a woman, do you hear?
You've no choice, Father. There's no one but me.
How are you, Cousin Maud?
Cousin?
Giles Baker, damn it.
We were children when we last met. Had you forgotten me?
Yes. Yes, I had forgotten you.
Of course. Why should you remember? But I couldn't forget you.
Poppycock.
Let me help you, sir.
Thank you, my boy. I've been thrown from a horse more times than I can remember. Last week was the devil. I'm getting old. Damn good of him to come, wasn't it? Well, don't stand there gawping, girl. Say something to him.
Thank you, Cousin Maud. Say nothing, please. Your smile is enough.
Damn good of you to come. Damn good.
It was the least I could do, sir, at such a time. But I confess there's another reason. May I ask a favour, sir?
Favour? What favour?
Well, it was always my mother's wish, sir, and now she believes it would be a proper demonstration of our feelings. In the hope that you'd agree, sir.
I never could agree with much that woman believes. No. That's churlish of me. No. What favour?
For your permission, sir, and yours, cousin, to take the name of Penmarric instead of Baker, as my great-uncle, your father, did.
You young devil, you're an adventurer.
If I am, sir, then I think you'll agree I'm only following your father's good example.
Ha! Well said. And agreed. My hand on it.
I didn't think last night was possible.
All things are possible if you want them enough.
I want you.
And Penmarric.
So do you.
Of course.
I wish you wouldn't make it sound as if we're a couple of beastly tradesmen.
Oh, Giles. If we want each other so much, is it wrong to be honest about the other things we want?
All the same, he hasn't said.
You know he intends to make you his heir.
I suppose I do. My mamma did say I could count on it. After all, there's no one else, is there?
No one. John, tell him we want to be married. There's nothing he can do about it.
We've been waiting for you. Giles, you know this young fella, don't you?
How are you, Castallack?
Good afternoon, Maud.
What are you doing here, Lawrence?
Damn it, what kind of a greeting is that? Just when I've agreed he may marry you.
Marry?
Marry you. Yes, marry you. Don't say it like that or you'll hurt the poor fellow's feelings.
Maud, I know that...
Giles!
I say I do congratulate you. And I'm most frightfully pleased for you, Maud.
You're pleased?
Well, Castallack's a first-rate chap. Everybody says that.
"10 months married and you want an annulment?
No, sir, but Maud does.
And you'd let her go?
If that's her wish.
Without making a fight of it, you mean?
Well, would I win, Mr. Penmarric?
You're as cold as a dead stoat. Well, go ahead, damned if I care.
She won't apply for an annulment without your approval.
Why the devil shouldn't she?
She wishes to marry her cousin Giles.
Does she? By God.
I believe it would distress her if such a marriage prejudiced any expectations he may have from your estate.
I'm an unreasonable man, is that it?
Pragmatic, I think, and naturally concerned that the Penmarric inheritance should continue in the male line.
You reason like a damned Jesuit. You know she married you because I told her she'd not get a penny if she didn't. And she's bedded her cousin Giles more than once since then. Damn it, Castallack, what are you made of?
I'm as vulnerable as most men, Mr.
She'll
Penmark.
leave you eventually, as soon as I'm dead, I'll wager.
Perhaps.
Then take a crop to her and save the heartache. I'll do it myself if you give me leave.
I think you may change her mind more effectively and less violently.
Are you laughing at me, Castallack?
Oh, if it appears so, I apologize.
Devil with your apologies. How effectively?
By telling her, as I may not, that you have excited her cousin's interest in a Miss Trelawney of Launceston.
The heiress, you mean?
I believe she is.
By God, you are a Jesuit.
I told you you'd not get us.
I want Penmarric!
Take what you've got and beg not for it. Get out! Get out!
My love, forgive me.
I want a son.
You sent your boy to see me like this, damn you. No one should have to remember a man like this.
He's your grandson.
Dying like a beast in a trap. Dear God, why didn't the mare kill me when she fell?
I must have Penmarric so it may go to him. There's no one else.
The Trelawney girl whelped a boy for cousin Giles.
Mark is your grandson.
I believe it. Nothing else you'd say he is. Bloody. Why should I believe that infernal taradiddle?
Because it's true.
Truth's a word, stays a word without proof.
Ask Giles.
Truth or lie, he denied. He wants Penmarric as badly as you do.
You're dying. Why should I lie to you?
In my experience, a death chamber breeds lies. They're usually more considerate, though.
Father!
You always did take your fences like a damn plowboy. Go away. Let me die in peace. Why don't you clear out too, you black devil? God knows what they'll do with you when I'm gone. Damn their souls.
Leave Penmarric to Giles if you must. But it must go to me or Mark when he dies. Father!
Cackle, cackle, cackle. Are you still here?
Will you do that?
Fight for it.
Fight!
Can't you see what I am leaving you? A chance to fight for it as I had when my father would have gambled. Fight. Dear God, girl. From heaven or the shades of hell, let me see you fight for it. Fight!
Pa,
Yes?
why did Mama want to see me and not Nigel?
You are the first son.
And the inheritance must be mine, not Nigel's.
Yes, that's true.
Jesus, people must call her Penmarric now, not Castallack.
You've had a long day and a tiring holiday. Don't you think you should go to bed now?
No, please. I like sitting here with you.
All the same, it is late.
Pa, Cousin Giles has children, hasn't he?
Well, he has a son, Raymond, and a boy and a girl he adopted.
That's what Mama said. I suppose we'll have to fight them for the inheritance, won't we?
I really think you should be in bed now.
When Mama asks to see me again, will she take me to Penmarric again? Will she, Papa?
Oh! Are they all idiots in the House of Lords?
Well, there are some decent fellows among them. But I agree, the law lords are most frightful asses.
The last court but one decided in my favour. Don't they know that, or don't they care?
Of course, my dear. But Giles appealed and won. You appealed to the lords against that, and they turned you down. Stumps are drawn. What?
Don't be tedious.
I'm sorry, old gal, but it really is the end of the match.
And I'm to give up now, after 12 years.
Well, you've had a jolly good innings, but the last wicket has fallen, I think.
Thank you, Robert. I can do without your schoolboy metaphors. I'll go to Penmarric. Yes, Giles must make Mark his heir.
My dear Maud, you really are a corker. He's got 3 children himself.
Raymond's delicate. That sort always die early. The other 2. Even Giles wouldn't leave Penmarric to someone who isn't a Penmar. Mark, you'll come down to Cornwall with me on Monday.
No, Mama.
We'll take a carriage from Penzance. Robert can send a wire.
I came to town for the weekend, that's all. Cousin York's right.
Don't scowl. It makes your face look weak.
I don't care about Penmarric.
Of course you do. Robert, tell the boy it's his duty.
I'm afraid so, Mark.
I shall be going up to Oxford in a year or so. I've got enough to worry about without all this rubbish.
Do I have to box your ears to make you see sense?
Steady on, my dear.
Just you try.
Not much of a holiday for you, is it, old chap?
I don't want to go. But I won't go.
It's something of a bore, I must admit, all the same.
Well, last time we went, after she'd won the decision, the butler locked the door and wouldn't let her in. It was disgusting. I almost had to carry her to the carriage.
Then you cannot let her go alone this time, can you?
Cousin York, why do you pretend to be such an ass all the time?
Well, it makes for an easy life, wouldn't you say?
All right, I'll go. But will you come with us?
Maud, that damned fool won't admit us.
Giles is there, of course.
He's ill, so that fellow says, and won't see anyone. Mark!
No, Robert. Get into the carriage.
Get out of here, you rotter! Madeline, throw him out!
Your cousin Raymond, I suppose. May I see your father?
He's ill. Clear off, you can't see him.
Well, then bugger you. I'll find him myself.
I'm Harry Penmar. That's my sister, Clarissa. You really shouldn't barge in like this, you know. Be a good fellow and cut along.
Be a good orphan. Mind your own business.
You really are a bounder, aren't you? But then you're an Etonian.
Where did they send you? Some wretched grammar school?
Don't play, you ugly little brute.
I have more right here than any of you.
No, you haven't. Penmaric's ours, so rot off and take your poisonous old mother with you. You young bastard. Clear off before you get the thrashing you deserve.
Not from you, I think.
You beast! You wretched, you repulsive pig! Go away and take your abominable mother with you. And never, never bother us again.
Clarissa!
Sir, will you please...
Hold your tongue! And leave my property before I get the grooms to throw you out.
That must be that, I suppose. I'm not an unreasonable woman, am I, Robert?
Well,
See? I can accept defeat. But Mark, I was so proud of you when you tried to go into the house.
I'm not. All I did was make a fool of myself.
I do understand now. I can't go on with these useless lawsuits. I should occupy my time with worthy causes. Women's suffrage, perhaps.
That's a bit steep, isn't it?
I'll leave this beastly hotel in the morning. We'll take the morning train, Mark, and you can live in town with me.
No, Mama.
Well, of course, you must. Now, my whole world...
My home is at Greek with Father.
All he cares about is his books. I need you.
You don't give a damn about me.
Robert?
Mark, old chap,
You
I
left us
really
all
do
years ago, and then
Because your father was unbearable.
I don't care why. I know why.
Mark, you are my son, and I
What
have a
about
right...
Nigel? He's your son too, isn't he? You never speak about him. You can't use him, therefore he doesn't exist, does he?
My dear child, you're upset. It's quite natural. But come home with me. We'll talk about it calmly tomorrow. On the train tomorrow.
I told you, I'm not coming. I'm going home to Father.
What has he done for you? Really done? I've spent 12 years fighting for your inheritance. Has he ever done anything like that? Does he care what's rightly yours?
It's finished. I don't care if I never see you again. Never hear about Penmarric.
Very well. Go home to your miserable father and become a country bumpkin. But don't come crawling back to me when Penmarric is mine.
Goodbye, Cousin York. Would you be so good as to see that the hotel sends my traps over to Greek?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Be lost, sir.
No, I was walking on the... Would you be good enough to give me a cup of water?
It's a fair old day, sir, isn't it?
That it is. You don't live all on your own here, do you?
Me van's away, sir, after lobsters.
Must be a hard life.
Oh, better than some. But worse than most.
Make a good living, does he?
Money's always welcome, sir, and more so, I to say, when earning it's a pleasure.
You have a nice cottage?
Oh, why don't he come inside, sir, and I'll show you.
Oh.
You're a pretty young man, sir. And he weren't too gentle.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
mean to...
Lord lovey, that in part of it. Oh. Will he pay me, sir?
Yes, how,
Oh, that'd be generous of me, sir.
What is your name?
Martha, and I do know who he be. And will he come again, sir? And now he knows the way.
Disturb you, Mark?
Oh, no, I wanted to work, but I think I've done enough now.
You'll be certain of Oxford if you go at this rate. Did you tell your mother you intended to go up if you could?
Yes. We were talking of other things. I don't think she was interested.
No. Are you happy here, Mark?
Are you, Father?
Well, as a recluse, you mean? A dry-as-dust scholar?
Oh, no, hope I'm half the scholar you are one day.
Be yourself. That's all I ask. You didn't say you're happy here.
Nor did you, Father.
Oh. I had the tranquil life I chose. 2 sons to share my home. Time to work, to ride, to see old friends. Yes, I suppose I'm happy. But the question was oversimple. You were right to avoid an answer. Good night, my boy.
Father?
Yes?
On my way home by the shore, I met a... It was... I'm sorry, it's nothing. Good night, Father.
Don't work too hard. It's not always the best escape for a troubled mind. I hope you'll remember that at Oxford. Enjoy your time there if you can. It'll pass all too quickly.
By George, yes, it is you.
Cousin York.
Where are you going?
Bruton Street. I've rented some chambers there.
Send your cabby away. Let me drop you. Bruton Street. Bruton Street. Hanged if I recognized you at first. Aren't you up at Oxford?
No longer.
How did you do?
First.
Bravo. Never doubted it, of course. Your father's well?
So he writes. He's living at Deverell Farm now.
The bucolic life, eh?
It's more solitary than Greek. He prefers it like that.
He was always a rum chap. And brother Nigel?
Europe. Father appears to have 18th century notions about the value of a grand tour.
But you are in town for the season, what? It's deucedly dull this year. I have your mamma staying with me in Park Lane. Will you drop in and say hello? I'd appreciate it. She takes some handling at the moment.
Is she ill?
No, not a bit of it, but... Oh, I say, you don't know, do you? Your cousin Raymond's gone. Died of cholera in some ghastly place abroad. Park Lane.
You do understand what this means. Giles must now reconsider the inheritance.
Damn the inheritance.
Clearly, Oxford's done nothing for your manners, however excellent your academic achievements.
I am sorry, Mamma, but we meet for the first time in 4 years, and you act as though we parted 4 days ago. Don't you understand yet? I do not care about Penmarric.
Nonsense. You were quick enough to come and see me when you discovered Raymond was dead.
Only because Cousin York asked me.
Because you were curious, because you want Penmarric too.
That's not true.
I've written to Giles, a letter of sympathy, of course, but telling him he must now think of you. At least you can thank me for that.
You write to a man who has just lost his only son. You tell him to make me his heir. And I'm supposed to thank you.
Why not? He's agreed to see us.
Us?
I was going to write to you, but now you're here. We can go down to Cornwall tomorrow.
Damn it.
Robert can send a wire to Giles.
If you say so, my dear.
Now, Robert. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry for so much I failed to do. I know I've behaved badly to you, to Lawrence.
He's been well rid of you.
You're too young to understand. I couldn't stay with him after Father died. Our marriage was destroying us both.
Your greed, your lust for Penmarric destroyed your marriage. I'm not too young to understand that.
I don't expect you to forgive me. But you do believe. You do, don't you, Mark? I had to fight for the inheritance. All these years. Whatever the cost. Because it's yours. You do understand that, don't you? You are a Penmarc.
I'm as much Castallack as I am Penmarc.
Are you? Are you, Mark? Can you be sure?
The devil's that supposed to mean?
I'm sorry, Mark. I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me. Don't abandon me now. Don't punish me.
Fight. Dear God, girl. From heaven or the shades of hell, let me see you fight for it. Fight!
Don't fuss, man, don't fuss. Get out till I ring.
How are you, Giles?
I understand you've the makings of a talented historian, like your father.
I hope so, sir.
I won't say I ever liked him, but he was one of the few honest men to ever enter this house.
A unique distinction, wouldn't you say, sir?
Don't try to strike sparks from me, young man.
I'm sorry, sir.
He's embarrassed, Giles. You
However,
must...
I'm pleased to see you resemble Castallack, and not your mother's side of the family. I'd not care to leave my estate to somebody who had the worst faults of the Penmarcs.
Giles!
Sit down, woman, and hold your tongue. We have nothing to say to each other. Sit down. What fortune I have has been diminished by the legal fees your mother's litigation has imposed upon it. But it's still substantial.
I want nothing, sir.
You'll have this house. Its lands and mines and 2/3 of my estate. The remaining third goes to Harry and Clarissa.
Thank you, sir.
If Raymond had lived, you wouldn't have got a penny. You've no objection to being second best, I suppose.
In the circumstances, none, sir.
Well, at least you've no humbug. But you'll oblige me by not putting a foot on Penmarric until I'm dead. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's all we have to say. Ring for Medlin, would you? I'll bring you tea before you go.
Giles! Let me stay here and care for...
You've got what you wanted, now leave me alone!
But Giles, dear Giles, I never wanted to hurt you.
You've never wanted anything else. That and Penmarric. 16 years of spite and lies.
I wrote to you. I explained it all. Why else did you ask me to come?
You wrote to me, yes. In the end, you're willing to call your son a bastard if it got you Penmarric.
He is your son. You can't deny it.
I can deny it. And both of us know I can't disprove it. My boy.
I must be sensible and not let him upset me. So obviously dying and confused. How could he admit? With you? But what does it matter, Mark? Mark, we won after all these years. The house. So terribly run down, isn't it? Never mind. We'll transform it. A few repairs, some redecoration. It will be as splendid as it was when I was a girl. It's so wonderful to know that I shall be living here again. The tower room. I must have the tower room, Mark, overlooking the sea. I wish I could show it to you now. Shall we ask Medlin? I will have the tower room, won't I?
No, Mama.
But, Mark, I insist. When I'm living here,
You won't be living here.
What?
You won't be living here. You'll never come here.
Mark, don't say such things. Is it what I told Giles? You don't believe? Mark, please! I love you! Come back with me, we'll talk about it all.
I'm going home, Avril. You can go to hell.
Mark? What a pleasant surprise. I thought you were in London. Well, now, come and sit down. I'll ask Mrs. Mannett to bring us some tea.
It seems strange to see you in such humble surroundings, sir. I had no idea your property here was so modest. Are you not anxious to get back to Guichillis?
Yes, I can understand your surprise, but the change of scenery seems to have helped my writing. I've become fascinated by the views across the moors. The mines are ugly, of course, but there's a kind of austere beauty about it all. And historically, this is a most interesting area. There's an ancient hill fort on the ridge above the house. It's at least 2,000 years old, I think. Shoon Castle, after the Cornish Cheyenne Woon, house in the down. And nearby there's a quoit of the same name. Of course, if you want to stay in Cornwall for a time, I'll open up Guichillis for you, naturally.
Oh, no. I'd prefer to stay with you here for a while, if I may, sir. I was considering King John.
I think John's an excellent choice. A reassessment is long overdue. I never thought to ask you, Mark, what brought you to Cornwall in the first place. I thought you were sampling London society after the rigours of your final examinations.
I came down to visit Penmarric with my mother. Giles Penmar asked to see me. But now that his only son is dead, he's decided to make me his heir. Penmarric will be mine when he dies.
I see. Let me show you the postcard that Nigel
I'll
sent me
refuse
from
it
Florence.
if you prefer. Your wishes mean much more to me than mother's.
No. If your mother's quarrel with Giles Penmar is finally ended, I suppose I should be glad for her sake and for yours. And Penmarric will make a fine inheritance for you one day. And it does make a certain decision easier for me, too. I'm sure it's always seemed to you, as it has to me, that the lot of the younger son is a hard one. And now that you've been so well provided for, I need have no qualms about leaving Guichillis Manor to Nigel.
You can't do that! Guichillis is mine! How dare you leave it to Nigel? You've always favoured Nigel over me, you've always loved him better, always given him my thing.
That's not true,
Do you understand? I don't care about Penmarric. I'm Castallack. Son,
But of course I should have realized who you were. Your father's mentioned you often. I see him every Sunday.
I had no idea Father was a regular churchgoer. Your sermons must be very stimulating, Mr. Barnwell.
Well, I hardly think they can be the cause. Well, perhaps we shall see you as well next Sunday. Good afternoon, Mr. Castallack.
Good afternoon.
Excuse me. I saw a woman, a lady in the churchyard.
Oh, yes, that'd be Mrs. Roslin.
Mrs. Roslin?
Yes, of Roslin Farm. She was the second wife of John Henry Roslin. He died last May. Of course, there were a good few years between them.
I see.
Well, Mr. Castallack, I mustn't detain you. Perhaps you will take luncheon with us on Sunday after the service.
Yes, that would be most kind.
No, quite the reverse, sir. Rare treat for us. We're very isolated here, I'm afraid. Scarcely see a new face from one year's end to the next.
I shall anticipate it with pleasure, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Castallack.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Barnwell. Papa? Papa? I should like to apologize. My behavior was quite inexcusable. I can't understand what made me speak to you like that.
Your visit to Penmarric must have upset you. Let's say no more about it.
Of course Nigel shall have Guicillis if I'm to have Penmarric. That's only fair. I see that now. I wish I'd never said those things. Will you forgive me?
Of course.
Papa, would it inconvenience you if I stayed on here for a while? I'd like to make a start on my thesis, and, well, you said yourself the atmosphere was conducive to writing.
Stay as long as you wish. I prefer to work in the mornings, of course, and 2 or 3 afternoons a week I like to take solitary walks along the cliffs, but that'll leave us plenty of time to be together.
The countryside is indeed very interesting. I walked over to Zillan this afternoon. I was wondering, do you happen to know any of the parishioners there?
Nobody one would know lives there, apart from Barnwell, the rector, of course. He's a good man in his way.
I was wondering if you happen to know anything about a Mrs. Roslin. She's a young woman of about 30 or less. I saw her this afternoon, and the rector was speaking of her.
I might know her by sight. Surely a woman of perhaps 30 or less would seem old to a boy of your age.
Oh, I was merely struck by her good looks.
No, I realise that you've reached the age when the opposite sex seems attractive to you. There's no need to look embarrassed. I've been very pleased at the way that you've conducted yourself in this respect, both at Oxford and before this. And I understand that you should be interested in a young and beautiful widow such as Mrs.
Roslin.
Roslin. There really is no way in which you may honourably know her.
You've only yourself to blame. You didn't inherit this farm when he died.
It was you was to blame, you bitch. If it hadn't been for you...
Joss, now hold your tongue. Now, you listen to me, Janna. I don't know how you get the money to keep this place going, and to be blunt, I don't care. But this place is mine by rights, and I'm going to have it. Now, I've made you a good offer in good coin, and you can take it or leave it. But if you won't let me have this place in a proper, legal way, I swear I'll drive you out by every means I know of. And you'll be sorry the day ever dawned when you crossed Jared Roslin.
You'd best be careful, Mr. Roslin. Extortion is a criminal offence. I'm sure you wouldn't wish to spend the next few years in prison.
And who the hell are you?
Sir, I don't know you, nor do I wish to.
Then why don't you get out before you get hurt?
Because I'm not in the habit of taking advice from the sort of lout who goes about threatening women. However, perhaps you should know that I am the cousin of Giles Penmarc and heir to his estate. And unless you wish to find yourself in trouble of the most serious kind, I suggest you get off Mrs. Roslin's property. And if ever I hear you have troubled her again, then by God, sir, you'll be sorry the day ever dawned when you failed to take my advice.
It's our farm, damn you!
I think you will find it is not, sir.
You're lucky with your friends, Janna.
Thank you, sir. It was kind of you to take my part. May I have the honour to know whom I'm addressing?
Mark Castallack. I come from Gweek, near Helston, you know.
Castallack? There's a village of that name between Mosul and Lamorna. How do you do, Mr. Castallack? What brings you to Roslin?
I was on my way to Zillan from my father's farm at Morver, and I appear to have lost my way. I stopped at your farm to ask directions.
I see, Mr. Castallack.
We have seen each other before. In the churchyard at Zillan.
I trust you found your way home on that occasion.
Yes, I did.
Well, Mr. Castallack, I really mustn't delay you after you've been so kind and come so far out of your way. You must take the lane down to the road, then you cross the road, and you'll see Zillan before you cross the moors. It's really quite simple.
Thank you. May I call on you again?
Please do if you happen to be in the neighbourhood. Mornings are the best time. Good day, Mr. Castallack.
Good day.
She bade in, so we can go off home.
When may I see her?
These are wasting your time. She don't hold 'em with boys your age. She be resting, young man.
I don't believe you. Kindly tell her Mr. Castallack has come to call on her.
Believe what he like, young master. She bain't seeing he. I'll see she gets 'em. It's you again, is it?
Is Mrs. Roslin at home?
You know she is, young man.
You come to tell me she's resting again?
No, I haven't. She'll see you this time, awful her. But he won't do you no good. Come you on in, then.
good of you to call.
Good day.
Won't you sit down?
Thank you. I'm indeed pleased to find you in. It's not the first time I've called.
No, Griselda told me. I'm sorry I wasn't able to receive you. I now have to go to market most days. Will you take a glass of elderberry wine, Mr. Castallack?
Thank you. That would be most kind. So, curious woman, your servant.
Griselda? Oh, she isn't a servant. She came with me from St. Ives when I married.
Oh, had you always lived in St. Ives till then?
Not always. Excuse me, please.
You see, I ask merely because your speech seems so different from what one usually... I was wondering... Sorry, Mrs. Roston, you must think me an utter fool.
Not at all. Will you be staying at Morver for long?
Yes. Yes, I intend to. Thank you. In fact, I decided that day I saw you in the churchyard at Zillon.
Your father will be pleased to have your company.
Mrs. Roslin?
Do you not like elderberry wine, Mr. Castallack?
Oh, yes. Yes, it's excellent. Mrs. Roslin, you must understand, I have tried to keep away. But I've been able to think of no one else but you. And you see, I wanted to tell you...
Mr. Castallack, please.
I'm sorry to have embarrassed you in this way. I should try not to do so again.
Ace to your queen, Castallack.
I fancy Mr. Vincent has the 5 of trumps.
Damn me, he has. Well, best drink up and pay up, Harry. A lawyer and a scholar together are too much for plain fellows like us.
We've been playing with a pair of sharps.
Steady, Harry. You're a damn shrewd player, Castallack.
Simply been blessed with a good memory.
I hope you've a long one.
I think I have.
Well, whatever it is, it's been too much for us. What's the damage, Vincent?
44 guineas.
Ooh, is it now? Expensive lesson, but worth every penny, eh, Harry?
You'll take my note, Castallack.
Of course.
And then we'll raise the stakes.
What do you suggest?
50 guineas. A point.
I'm afraid my allowance won't stretch to those stakes.
Your allowance? My God, you've got some face. You've got my inheritance. Play with that.
No, Harry. We're all good friends here. Now, we've had 2 good rubbers, and we'll call it a day. What do you say?
I'd be quite willing to play for those stakes at a later date. I don't think we ought to embarrass Mr. Vincent. He can hardly be expected to go so steep.
Then he should play for pennies with his fellow clerks and stay away from gentlemen's houses. Damn it, he's been sniffing round Penmarric 3 times a week, following my sister around if she were a bitch on heat.
Harry, you go too far. You become tedious. I think you should apologize now, Harry.
I'm damned if I will.
I thought he weren't coming in no more, young man.
I have important business to discuss with Mrs. Roslin.
I know your sort of business, and she won't have none of it. So get along with thee.
Kindly tell your mistress I am here and wish to speak with her.
I'm my own mistress, young man. I do what I likes. And she bain't in.
Morning, Mr. Castallack.
May I carry your basket, Mrs. Roslin?
Thank you, but it's not heavy.
I'm sorry. I tried to stay away from the farm, but I can't. I can't work. I'm a bear in company. I despise myself.
Sure, you exaggerate. Do you think the weather will change soon? We've really been very lucky with our
I've
last
come to
few
ask if you will dine with me one evening in Penzance.
That's very kind of you, but I must refuse. I have no suitable gown for such an occasion.
Oh, good Lord, if that's all it is, I could buy you one.
I think you're forgetting yourself. I'm a respectable woman, Mr. Castallack. Any more intimate association with you could have no respectable end.
I've never doubted your respectability.
Young gentlemen of your breeding and class usually pursue a woman of lower rank for one purpose, and one purpose only.
But I merely wish to show that I admired you by inviting you to dine with me.
What would have been your next invitation? You have miscalculated. I'm not a woman of that kind. And even if I were, I would hardly commit myself to a boy scarce out of his teens.
I see. Bitch. Bitch! Bitch! Janna, I want her, and I will have her. Oh, allow me.
Thank you.
Your brother?
Oh, no, I'm the nursemaid.
That, I'm sure, cannot be true. You're not in the least like any nursemaid I've seen. Forgive me, I don't want to appear to be rude. The name is, Castallack. Mark Castallack.
Rose Parish.
How do you do?
How do you do? But I am a nursemaid.
Well, I suppose I shall have to believe you. May I carry your basket?
Thank you.
How does James come to be in this singularly fortunate position?
Well, you see, when Father died, he was a doctor, you know. It seemed there was much less money than anybody thought. In fact, we were practically penniless, and I was obliged to earn my own living.
Well, it must have come as a dreadful shock.
Oh, it did. And at first, the idea was that I should be a governess. But I'm afraid I'm not very clever. My head spins when I begin to think of, anything like square roots or the dates of the kings of England.
That's quite as it should be. Women were never meant to spend their time in schools.
But you see, I love children.
And they love you, I'm sure.
And now what are you doing? This is a lady, not a 5-shilling woman. Say goodbye and leave.
And Mr. and Mrs. Treen are very kind, and even introduced me to their friends. Not the St. Enodox, of course. I wouldn't expect that. I really think I have a lot to be thankful for.
Rose, will you be here tomorrow?
Why, yes.
Could you take tea with me?
Hmm?
Only afternoon tea. The most harmless occasion there could be. A treat for her, a diversion for me.
You can't imagine what a change this has been for me, Mark. Mr. and Mrs. Treen have been so kind, but since my parents died, it seemed that nobody's taken an interest in me for myself. Until you. Does that sound very silly?
Of course it doesn't. What do you say we meet again tomorrow? On the beach,
You really want to?
You know I do.
Excuse me.
Our little house. Isn't it warm? Isn't it cosy? No winds, no drafts.
Oh, please, I must be able to see James. If anything should happen to him.
Look, he's forgotten all about us. Happy as a sandboy. Well, he is a sandboy.
Yes.
Rose.
Please, Mark, no.
I'm sorry. You're quite right. Behaved very badly. We both know I shall be leaving St. Ives soon. Our friendship, there could be no future in it. It would be wrong of me to pretend otherwise.
No. No, please. No, you mustn't.
I won't do anything.
Then...
Let me just...
No, you mustn't.
Rose.
Then...
I won't hurt you. I promise.
I didn't mean to. Oh, Mark, what a low opinion you must have of me. If Mrs. Treen were to find out... Have you lost all respect for me now?
Well, of course I haven't. I mean, you're even dearer to me now. If anyone's to blame, it's me. You mustn't blame yourself.
I knew right from the beginning that I would fall in love with you.
Rosa, I can't offer you anything.
But you can, you have.
Hardly expect you to be happy with meetings in a tent.
I don't mind. I think it's romantic.
Will you meet me again tomorrow? Here, like this?
Yes. Yes, I will.
So you see, I shall have to go back to my father now.
It's all right. I knew you'd have to go soon. I didn't think you'd stay so long.
I feel so badly about it.
You mustn't. Really, you mustn't. I understand.
The damnable fact is I've used up all my allowance. I can't afford to stay in St. Ives another day.
Please, Mark, please don't make excuses.
It's true. I can't expect another penny until the end of September. I'll return then, I promise. You do believe me, don't you?
You don't have to.
No, but I'll try. And I will write you, of course.
Love divine, oh love
Bad luck, Mark. By God, I thought you were going to make it too. You chanced your arm there, didn't you?
Looks as though I did. I'm sorry, Michael, I played damnably.
Come along then, Vincent. Let's hear it.
60 guineas.
You'll take my note, Justin?
Ah, tea. And muffins, too. You spoil us, Mrs. Mannock. You spoil us and ruin our characters. I think it went remarkably well today. Delicious. You know, what I think I'd like most tonight is to beat my son at chess. Would you care for that, Mark? It's all right. I'll take care of you, Rose. Best leave all the arrangements to me. I'll concoct a letter to you on my mother's writing paper and pretend that she's offering you a post in London. We'll have to find some rooms, of course. I thought Penzance would be best. I'll have to buy you a wedding ring, too. I thought simply Mrs. Parrish, a young widow. No reason for anyone to guess the truth. I'll pay for the doctor and midwife and all the other expenses, of course, and then after it's all over, you can have the baby adopted. There must be plenty of wealthy couples who'd leap at the chance.
No. I won't give my baby away. I won't ask you for help after he's born, but I won't give him away.
But Rose, I don't see how I can look after you.
I said I won't ask you for help.
Of course I must help you. Aren't you being a bit selfish? What sort of a start in life could you hope to give him?
I'm his own mother and I'll love him. You're the one who's being selfish.
I'm simply trying to act in a reasonable and a responsible way. If you keep the child, you may never get married.
If I can't marry you, I don't want to marry anyone.
Rose, I can't marry you.
Yes, you've explained. You have no money. But perhaps later.
It isn't simply that. You see, my affections are all... There's another woman. I don't know how to explain.
I don't want to hear. If there was someone else, why did you pay attention to me at all that week?
I know. It was wrong with me.
You never cared. Even then. I shouldn't have let you. But I loved you so much I didn't know what was happening to us. I knew you just... How foolish you must think me. Foolish, ignorant and contemptible.
Rose, it isn't your fault. The fault's mine entirely. Why you should think of marrying someone who's treated you so shamefully.
Because I love you. I still love you. Those few days we spent together were the most wonderful days of my whole life.
In a tent? Well, you Penmars are a fast crowd, I must say. I had to pay off one of Harry's mistresses the other day.
Don't you bracket me with him? I'm a Castallack, not a Penmar.
I beg your pardon.
Come to that. What business have you to gossip about your clients?
You're quite right, of course, though hardly in a position to moralize, I would have thought.
Oh, I see. I suppose you've had no trouble with women yourself.
If you mean Clarissa Penmar, the position is quite different, as you know. If she'd have me, I'd marry her tomorrow.
I thought she'd give herself to any man who offered his services. I mean, she even... You make yourself a laughingstock over her.
Mark, I know you're in difficulties, but there's no need to take it out on me. What are you going to do when your father finds out?
He won't find out. He won't find out because you're the only person I've told. And the only person I'm going to tell.
And where are we going to find the money?
Good morning, Cousin Mark.
Good morning.
Mr. Penmar.
Oh, you might as well call me Clarissa. I think we've been enemies for too long, don't you?
I never wish to be the enemy of anyone in this house. If I remember correctly, the choice was yours, not mine.
Oh, we were children then, weren't we? And now we've grown up.
I don't see why that should make you feel any differently towards me.
Well, perhaps you've our little rector's daughter to thank for that. Sly little fortune hunter. She'd taken poor wild Harry away, and I doubt if Papa would let him come back for years. And I shall be terribly lonely.
You're far too modest, Miss Penmar. I mean, you have only to whistle, and Michael Vincent will come trotting round.
Little Michael Vincent. Now, he's told me some fascinating things about you. It seems that you're not nearly so pie as you look. I'm intrigued, Mark. I'm always intrigued by gentlemen with a romantic reputation.
Oh, Vincent's been too generous. As you once said yourself, I hardly have the looks to make any headway in that field.
Well, who cares about looks once the curtains are drawn and the candles out? Oh, don't look so shocked. I know what goes on in the world. Would you like a tour of the house?
No, thank you.
Well, I really think you'll find me more entertaining than a little nursemaid, wasn't it? Oh, there's something so terribly dreary about the middle classes, don't you think? Oh, now you're angry because I know about your miserable little doctor's daughter.
If you dare say one more word about a woman who is 1,000 times more a lady than you will ever be.
Ladylike, mistress, how boring! You bastard! Now get out of here or you'll be sorry you ever came. Very well. I'll summon the footman and have you thrown out.
My God! You could treat me like you treat that fool, Vincent. No woman dictates to me. Wouldn't go to bed with you if you paid.
Mr. Giles Penmar.
So, you came back. I wondered if you would.
Yes, sir.
You heard about Harry, of course.
That wasn't the reason why I
Marrying
came.
Harry's portion to Clarissa's. Perhaps it would induce some young man to marry her for her money. I fancy no man would marry her for her reputation. I'm sorry to disappoint you.
I assure you that's not the reason why I came,
You
sir.
came to play billiards, I suppose. Well, I'm sure Medlin could be persuaded to give you 100 up. Well, you'd better tell me. How much do you want?
If you could treat the sum as a portion, sir, and not as a gift.
Naturally, I would. How much?
£500, sir.
And for what purpose? Why? No. I am ordered to avoid all excitement. 500. Well, the price of pleasure has increased since my day. And tell me, why don't you ask your father for it?
Because he couldn't be asked to treat the sum as a portion, sir, but he gives me my allowance, but he intends to leave his estate to my brother Nigel.
Oh, does he indeed?
That's only fair, sir, since I'm to have Penmarric.
Disinherit the elder son? Most eccentric. Unless, of course, Castallack believes he has only one son. Wait. You shall have your money. You mustn't begrudge me a little fun.
Yes, well, that seems very satisfactory. Now, I'm particularly anxious that Mrs. Parrish should not be overstrained in any way.
Oh, no, sir. I'll see my own daughter looks after all the cooking and shopping. You needn't worry yourself, sir.
Yes, good.
The poor lady. Was it very sudden, sir?
What? Oh, yes, an accident. He was experimenting with a horse's carriage. In Paris. There's a brilliant man. Brilliant. Only 25.
I've never heard a single word of good about one of them. Tragical.
Yes.
Now, you just set your mind at rest about your cousin, sir. She couldn't be better cared for anywhere than she would be here. And, of course, you'll be welcome. More than welcome, sir, to come and visit her here just as often as you like.
you be so kind as to read this letter?
I think I'm beginning to make a start with my thesis now. What does Clarissa want to write to you for?
Read it.
Dear Mr. Castallack, you might be interested to know that your son was here today to beg for money, or so my father told me. It seems Cousin Mark wishes to keep a woman in Penzance. A doctor's daughter.
Is it true? Is it true, Mark?
No.
But you did go to Giles, surely?
Yes.
And you borrowed money from Giles?
Yes.
For what purpose?
Because I needed it.
Why did you not come to me?
Because I didn't want you to know.
About this woman?
There is no woman. Clarissa's making it up.
So, this doctor's daughter does not exist.
No.
I'm afraid I don't believe you. I think perhaps you'd better tell me about it.
There was no need for you to know. I've made all the arrangements. I've arranged so that when she has the baby, she can...
You tell me she's expecting a child? You have, of course, offered to marry her.
No. She doesn't expect me to.
So, you used her for a few days, ruined her, and bought her off with Penmarc money, and you went to Giles. You did not come to me.
But that was only because...
Only because you had not the courage to confess to such dishonourable behaviour. I have tried to bring you up as an honourable man, and I have failed.
All I want is to be like you, sir.
There's nothing of me in you. Nothing at all. I suppose I've always known that. You're like your mother. You're a Penmarc. And in a crisis, you turn to Giles. Of course, that would be only natural.
I'm not like him. I'm like you. You must believe that.
Who is it, Griselda?
It's young Mr. Mark.
Well, let him in. Oh, really, Griselda, do we have to be so inhospitable? Good evening, Mr. Castallack.
Good evening.
This is an unexpected surprise. Griselda, are all the upstairs windows shut? We've just made some tea. Would you like a cup?
Thank you. That would be most kind. Thank you.
You look very tired, Mr. Castallack. Are you quite well?
Yes, quite well, thank you.
Then may I ask why you've come to call on me at this hour?
Perhaps because I had nowhere else to go. Why do you read the tidings?
Perhaps because I'm able to. Look.
Yes, please. A little.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Do you know Penmarric?
I know of it. I've never been there.
It's a big estate near the sea. One day it shall be mine. I shall live there. I shall be one of the richest men in Cornwall. I'm indeed fortunate to have such...
Great expectations?
Precisely. I'm glad you know the facts. I wanted you to be aware of my position.
Oh, why?
Because I've come to ask if you will marry me, Mrs. Rossiter.
Marry you, Mr. Castallack? I'm fully sensible of the honour that you do me, but I fear I must decline your proposal. There can be no question of marriage between us.
After you've had time to consider...
No, I'm truly sorry, and I have no wish to distress you, but it can't be.
Can be. Shut. I apologise for intruding on your time. You must excuse me.
Will you not stay at least until the storm has passed?
No, I must leave at once. Good night.
Right, Mr. Castallack. Thank you for calling.
Who's there? Hark! Hark! Hark!
I was so worried about you. You hurt? I rode after you. I thought you'd gone to Penmarric. I wanted to bring you back. I sheltered at a nearby farm. Look at you. Take the horse. Ride home as quickly as you can. There's no room for both of us. No, she's too old to carry us both. But do as I say. Ride home as quickly as possible.
Really, Mrs. Mannock, it's been 3 days now. You must be past the crisis. You mustn't distress yourself. Let him speak. Let him just say, please, let him speak.
Mark.
Papa?
Mark.
What is it, Papa? I'm here.
Mark.
Yes, Papa. It's all right, I'm here.
There is something I have left undone.
Yes, Papa, but don't worry. Tell me what it is, hmm? Tell me what I can do.
Look after Janna, Mark.
see that she wants for nothing.
Of course, it's very kind of Mrs. Balding to offer to undertake the altarpiece, but we don't want to upset the other flower ladies, now do we? Oh, good morning. Good morning. Yes, now where was I? Oh, yes, the matter of Mrs. Balding. If it had been the font or the east window, but the altarpiece. Well, we must be like Agag and tread delicately. Good day to you.
Good day to you.
I had some sad news today. A very old friend of mine from Morfhurst died. You've probably seen him in the congregation. Very nice fellow. Lawrence Castallack. Sudden chill, it seems, turned at last to pneumonia and... Would you like to sit down a while?
No, thank you. I'm quite well. I must just... Lawrence. Why? Please don't leave me, oh Lawrence. the first time in my life I thought I'd found some... I can't bear... Oh, Lawrence, please. Oh. Please. Lawrence. Oh. Lawrence.
My, we're powerful high and mighty these days. Far too high and mighty to take humble work.
Set your cap at my husband, would you, miss? Don't you dare bandy words with me. In spite of your youth and lack of education, I made you my daughter's personal maid, and this is how you repay me.
I thought pride was supposed to come afore a fall, but you're like your mother the way you give yourself airs. What's wrong with a shop? Or one of them new hotels?
It's a waste of my training and experience.
You were engaged as my housekeeper, Janna.
But, sir...
I'm afraid our later understanding, enjoyable as it has been, I hasten to add, did not include your getting pregnant.
Come on now. I saw manage. Again. Never.
Oh, why don't you ride over to Roslyn with me on your next free afternoon?
How do I know I'd end up at Roslyn and not in some haystack along the way?
How'd you know you'd mind if you did?
No man lays one finger on me till I'm wearing his wedding ring.
So, this is what makes you take the long journey to St Ives so often, Jared Roslyn.
Much good it does me.
I can't say I blame you. She's pretty as a picture. Treat yourself to a small glass of port, my dear, or whatever you young ladies drink nowadays, and my son can buy me a pint of bitter.
Why? Thank you, sir.
Of course, you'd be Mrs. Roslyn. There'd be no nonsense about that part of it.
I'm a little overwhelmed.
Of course.
Your son, Jared.
Never mind about Jared. He could have had you, but he let his chance slip by. I've told him often enough that he'd regret it if he went on expecting every woman he fancied to forget all thoughts of wedding rings. This'll teach him a lesson. But I expect you want to see what it is you'd be taking on. Here you are, my dear. Well, what'd you say?
Your first wife.
Yes.
Isn't it a little soon?
She was a good woman and I miss her, but nothing's going to bring her back. Besides, isn't it a tribute to her that I hate to live without the woman in the house now she's gone?
Oh, I hadn't thought of it like that.
Well, will you?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Nothing could please me more. Just one thing, my dear. Don't expect too much of me. I'm an old man and past my prime. I can't offer you as much as Jared could. So if you'd rather have Jared, best say so now before it's too late. I'll have no goings-on under my roof in my own house.
I would rather marry you. Truly I would.
Thank you for that. May I ask why? I'm an old man and ugly.
You're kind, and you understand. I want nothing else.
So there you are, Janna.
How dare you sneak in like that and frighten me? I've a good mind to tell your father.
What? That you're sweet on Mr. Lawrence Castallack of Morvar? Janna! I'll bargain with you.
I'll see you in hell first. You just try and cause trouble and see where it gets you. You just try.
Well, you got plenty of spirit, I'll say that for you. That's what happens when an old man marries a young woman with expectations. 4 years and he's dead. So be it, Janna. We've both of us been punished. Oh, you sell me the house and you can buy yourself a cottage in St. Ives.
I won't sell.
Don't you understand what Father's done? I've got no house nor land. But you've got no stock nor money, not one penny. You can't keep the place going.
I won't sell.
Chandler's bill be coming again, I see.
You just have to wait.
You did that afore with the other. Happiness will have to wait for winter feed. He'll tell that to the cattle then, will he?
Good evening.
Evening.
Oh, Lawrence. Someone to see thee.
Charming room.
You got my letter then?
Yes.
I didn't know who else to turn to.
I'm glad. You're very beautiful.
If I am, it's because I've waited 30 years to be loved.
Thank you.
Oh, no. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I must go.
Must you?
I think I should.
Shall you come again?
If I may.
Tomorrow?
Perhaps the day after. I am thinking of your reputation.
You're good and kind and generous. And I love you.
I love you too.
Three times in 1 week? I am spoiled.
Are you being sarcastic?
No. And you'll stay, what, perhaps 3 hours?
What do you mean, Janna?
There are 168 hours in the week, did you know? And of those 168, I shall this week spend only 9 with you. The fact is, it seems a great wealth of happiness to me. I've never before been 9 hours a week in the company of someone I love.
Go off your victuals and you'll lose your looks. Then your fancy man won't come round at all.
He's careful for my reputation.
They can be a girt fool for all I heirs. He's got a wife, ain't he?
They're divorced, I think.
Typical Penmarric.
He's not a Penmarric. He was married to one.
Same difference. Besides, I thought they were finished with all that. It never meant nothing to you, didn't you say, after you slipped up with yon lawyer? I don't suppose old John Henry were a bed botherer.
Mind your own damn business, can't you?
Leastways he made an honest woman of he, which is more than the sun will. If he didn't know I were right, he wouldn't lose thy temper.
Where have you been?
I brought you a present from Penzance. He is supposed to be the Tompion of Cornwall, our leading clockmaker. It was meant to help you count the hours we've spent together.
Well, let's not waste another minute.
Well, Janna, what is it?
I can't bear it. I can't bear you going away. I love you so much. I can't bear all these terrible partings. All the hours and hours till I see you again.
My love, if I knew that you felt so strongly or minded so
I
much...
mind every minute I don't spend with you. Oh, could we not be married? I would be a good wife to you. I would learn to speak without an accent. I wouldn't be an embarrassment to you.
I cannot marry you. I would have told you from the beginning, but I assumed that you already knew. I'm not divorced. In the eyes of the law and the eyes of the church, I'm still a married man. Forgive me. If I'd known that your thoughts had turned towards marriage,
Please, Lauren. Think no more about it. I must apologize for behaving so very foolishly. Your son Mark called again the other day.
You worry about him too much.
If he should suspect
Such a
something...
thought would never cross his mind.
I don't like him. I don't think he's half so innocent as you think he is. I think he...
My dear, I know Mark better than you do. A father necessarily knows his own child better than any stranger can. If you were a parent yourself, you'd understand that.
Of all the... If you knew how I long for a child, your child. For your sake, I've done all I can to avoid getting pregnant. But to be told I don't understand it...
It was thoughtless.
Yes, it was.
I'm sorry.
Sorry be damned.
I made a new will the other day. It's a step I've been contemplating for some time. I'm not naming you in the will, Janna, to save you embarrassment. But I intend to provide for you before I die by creating a trust for your benefit.
Oh, please. Let's not talk about you dying.
You'll never have to worry about money again, I promise you.
I thought he was going to look after thee.
Well, he died, didn't he? All right, Jared Russlin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
May I come in? I apologize if I'm calling at an inconvenient time, but I saw you weren't in church and I wanted the chance to speak with you alone.
It's not inconvenient.
I've come to offer my condolences.
How very kind.
Perhaps we could talk in the parlor?
If you wish.
What a charming room.
Why have you come? I presume you came for reasons other than to offer your condolences. If you did not, I must beg you to excuse me. I am not myself this morning, and I'm not feeling well enough to receive visitors.
Won't you sit down, Mrs. Rosslyn? I feel I'm being discourteous by remaining seated while you yourself are still standing. It was ill-mannered of me to sit in the first place without asking your permission, and I apologize. I have no wish to treat you as though you weren't the respectable widow you've always claimed to be.
Mr. Castallack.
Please, do sit down. How's the farm?
Well enough.
And you are well, I trust?
Thank you, yes.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. My father was actually worried about you, you know. His last words were concerned with your welfare. If there's ever anything you need, I'm sure something can be arranged. Must have many expenses to meet. There's nothing so tedious as not having enough money to do what one needs to do, is there? So, don't forget, if you need any help, you have only to ask.
Well, as it happens...
You need help now?
I am in rather a trying situation. Perhaps if a loan could be arranged, I could offer the house as security.
Oh, yes. Yes, the house. Yes, I'm sure something could easily be arranged. I'm sure we could arrive at a mutually convenient arrangement. Might I see the house? If I'm to arrange a loan, I'd be interested, purely as a formality, of course, to see the exact nature of the collateral you wish to offer.
Very well. This is the dining room. We used it at Christmas and Easter and on my husband's birthday. Otherwise, we always ate in the kitchen. You know the kitchen, of course.
Yes, I know the kitchen.
And the parlour.
And very definitely the parlour.
This is very old. You can see how worn the flagstones are. This is the oldest part of the house.
Is your familiar here today?
Oh, you mean Griselda? No, she's visiting her kin at Zanner.
So, we are alone then.
There are one or two cupboards. There's a little room at the back of the scullery where we can fill the bath and wash. Otherwise, there's nothing to see.
And upstairs?
Nothing to see. Just a few rooms that are no longer used. Oh, and a loft, of course. Very good loft with a boarded floor. The servants used to sleep there in the old days. Now Griselda has a room at the back of the house. Would you like to sit down again? If you'd like some wine,
I'd like to see the rooms upstairs, if I may. Please. Could that not be, arranged, Mrs. Rosslyn?
If you wish.
Mrs. Griselda's little room. This was Jared's room. This was Joss's room before he moved out. This is the box room. My late husband kept his first wife's possessions here. And this is my room. It faces the moors, as you can see. My late husband liked this view the best, and I agreed with him.
What an incredibly ugly clock. I suppose that was your late husband's.
Damn you, Marcus.
Will you stay and dine with us here? There's plenty of food if you're hungry.
Thank you. But dinner will be waiting for me at Devil, and I should be on my way. However, I confess I am thirsty. Perhaps some cider?
I'll fetch it for you.
May I call on you after dinner tomorrow evening?
Very well. But will you not come earlier and dine with me first?
No. But I shall stay for breakfast. Until tomorrow, then. Good day to you, Mrs. Roslin.
Good day, Mr. Castallack.
You don't waste time, do we? Still, like father, like son, I suppose. Go to hell.
Janna.
It comes from the French. Jeanne. My father was Breton, a fisherman.
Yes?
When I was little, he used to bring me home toys from Brittany. He didn't start bringing home the gin till later. By the time I was 6, he was unemployable. By the time I was 9, he was dead. My mother died within weeks of him. They both had a paupers' funeral. Griselda took care of me. I worked to get out of that hoveline's lives. How I worked. I spent nearly 9 years at Menherrion Castle, working my way up from the sculleries to the still room, and finally became one of the housemaids. And then when I was 15, I was appointed personal maid to Miss Charlotte. She was only a year older than me. She taught me to speak correctly. She encouraged me to read, and gave me the dresses she no longer chose to wear. That was my undoing. I wore one of them at the servants' Christmas party, caught the eye of the master of the house. Waylaid me in the corridor.
I say no more. I certainly can't fault his taste. I can hardly blame you in the circumstances.
Don't be silly. All I wanted was to become housekeeper one day. Besides, I wouldn't have slept with Sir Bertram if he'd been the last man on earth. I thought him repulsive and older than God. However, I could hardly tell Lady St. Enodoc that. So I had to pack my bags and leave. I was just 18. Well, you said you wanted to know me.
In every possible way.
£2 to dine with us, is that it?
Nothing of the sort.
That's about the size of it, if you ask me.
I wasn't aware that I had.
Your employer, was he?
Yes. A lawyer. A widower.
Age?
35-ish.
Handsome?
Not unattractive.
I'm glad.
Amusing, not unkind. Besides, I like the job. I like the house. I decided it'd be wrong to disappoint his expectations.
Quaint way of putting things.
I've been out of work for 6 months without a reference.
Yes, I do see.
Do you? I doubt it. Anyway, I expected nothing.
Were you right?
Hmm?
What was he like in bed?
One did not expect rapture under those circumstances.
You really do sound like passion's slave.
His liberties meant nothing to me.
Oh, you just grinned and bore them.
I was grateful enough to try and please him.
Spare me the details.
Well, you asked. When I got pregnant. So I packed my bags again. Went back to Griselda and that disgusting offal. She mixed me a potion to cure my ills. What else could I do?
You could have had the child.
That wasn't part of our arrangement.
Lucky old Pomeroy. Did he want his child?
Not his. Mine. Mine.
Oh, my love.
Now, what is my duty towards God? My duty towards God is to believe in him, to fear him, and to love him. With all my heart, with all my strength, with all my mind, and with all my soul. To worship him, to give him thanks, and to put my whole trust in him, and to call upon him, to honor his holy name and his word, and to serve him truly all the days of my life. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen.
I swore I would never go through that again. No man would lay one finger on me till I had his wedding ring.
So you married old Rosslyn?
He was kind. He understood. I wanted nothing else at the time.
Did you get it? He was in his 70s, wasn't he?
62.
Well?
If you must know, after our first anniversary, he made no attempts at intimacy.
Were you sorry?
I was fond of him. Besides, I'd grown used to being a farmer's wife. Best of all, I came to love this farm. In the summer, I'd open all the windows. The scent of roses would fill the house. I had a home of my own at last. I loved it.
You wanted for nothing, then?
I thought not.
No one?
I did wonder what it would have been like to have had a child. But so long as I had the house, I was safe. I was secure.
So?
So I thought my life pleasant enough. I didn't realise it was passing me by till I was 30. But then it wasn't till I was 30 I first saw your father.
I must go now.
I was left with the house, but without a penny to maintain it or myself.
Why should your husband punish you?
I imagine he thought that Jared and I...
When, in fact?
In fact, I was being punished for defying Jared.
What about?
He was blackmailing me.
What about?
Well, he was threatening to tell my husband... He wanted the house.
Don't prevaricate.
In order to get it, he threatened to tell my husband about...
Yes?
About myself and...
Say it, damn you.
Myself and your father.
And had you?
No.
There's no smoke without fire.
We had done nothing.
Then Jared was mistaken.
Oh, perhaps he guessed, perhaps gossip. I had seen Lawrence. I'd burned for him.
Don't be disgusting.
I wrote to him after my
I
husband
don't
died.
want to hear of it.
I didn't know who else to...
God in heaven, woman!
Mark!
Shut up, can't you?
I didn't know who else to turn to. After I'd written, I thought he won't come, but he did come.
Told you I don't want to talk about it.
Mark, it happened.
It's nothing to do with us.
No, but you can't ignore it. It happened. He came along, and suddenly nothing else mattered anymore. I waited all those years without knowing what it was I was waiting for. It didn't matter that I was no longer young.
Nor was he.
He loved me. I loved him.
You are talking about my father.
You must understand.
Oh, damn it, there's a limit.
After years of indifference, I longed for a child. His child. Then I learned that he was still married. I did my best to avoid becoming pregnant.
Janna.
But to the last, I depended on him. He promised me security, and the nearest thing to love I'd ever known. And then he died when you came.
Yes, yes, I do know what happened.
I didn't love you. I didn't even like you. I'd lost the man I loved, and I felt nothing. I didn't want to feel anything that would have betrayed Lawrence. And Lawrence was the man I loved. So I went to you, wanting nothing and expecting nothing, and suddenly all was changed. When you touched me, it was as if no man had ever touched me before. I forgot Lawrence. Forgot him as if he'd never existed. Because never in all my life had I experienced, had I imagined it was possible to experience what I experienced with you. No words ever invented could even begin to describe it. After it was all over, I tried to hate you. Why? For destroying the illusion I'd lived with and thought of as love for so long.
Yes.
I couldn't do it. The instant I thought of you, I wished myself back behind that locked door with you. One cannot hate a man to whom one would give oneself time and time again without a second's hesitation. The past is past.
Why the hell do you have to inflict it on me then?
Because, don't you see? We can't pretend it didn't happen. You have to come to terms with it.
I don't have to do a damn thing, my dear.
Oh, God. You can be childish.
Jealous?
Get out of my house.
I can't wait.
He didn't last long then. Reckon you gave in too soon. Typical gentry that. Take what they want and move on. Oh, you can cry your eyes out. I doubt that'll fetch 'em back again. There now. Us have managed afore and us'll manage again.